Hello, I'm Donald Miller. I'm a young 70-year-old. In these days with COVID, older people are finding it difficult to get around, to cope with isolation, really, and loneliness. I'm here with Dr. Davis, who's going to give us some tips on how older people can try to cope with the new dispensation that we find ourselves in.
Hi, Mr. Miller.
Hi, Doc.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Okay, so loneliness and social isolation is one of those things that you have to understand in order to be able to manage. So, first of all, loneliness is a feeling that a person experiences that they are set apart and cut off from everyone else. This is distinctly different from being socially isolated. You can have a person who is within the context of a home living with their spouse and still feeling feelings or having feelings of loneliness. There are lots of things that happen in the life of an older person that sets up the situation for having feelings of loneliness. So, for example, significant life-changing events, retirement, loss of a loved one, spouse, a child, changes in financial security, all those things end up causing problems in such a way that persons may feel cut off from everyone else.
Yeah, but Doc, a lot of those things are kind of all coming together at this time, particularly with COVID.
Absolutely.
Because, for instance, with me, I'm retired. My income is seriously reduced.
Right.
I've lost a number of good friends
Yes.
before and now during our COVID.
Yes.
And it's like everything
All
just
coming
crashing
down
down
at
at
the
one
same time.
time.
And this is why it's so important for us to shine some light on the issue of loneliness, because it does set older persons up at risk for other mental health issues as well. So it is a very, very important and serious thing among older persons in the Caribbean as well as across the world, right? It's said that even in Jamaica, 1 in every 5 older adults live by themselves.
Wow.
Right. So, living alone also is one of those key things that we need to focus on to prevent loneliness from setting in.
So what do we do?
Right.
I mean,
So,
I'm lucky, I suppose. I have a 18-year-old son who's at university
right.
who lives with me.
Yes,
But a lot of people don't have that.
precisely. And the approach to preventing isolation or feelings of isolation and loneliness is one that encompasses family and the community and the older adult central to that. So persons have to really take charge of the situation and keep the bonds that they have before, work at keeping it, as well as try to establish new ones, right? So there are some suggestions such as, maintaining ties within whatever social environment you are. So whether in your community, trying to communicate or continue to communicate with the people around you. There are some organizations that are specifically for older adults, such as Senior Citizens Association, or here in Jamaica, we have the Caribbean Community for Retired Persons, which is a very, very organized group targeting social interaction as well as travel and just creating experiences for older persons and to minimize the risk of them feeling alone.
So it's really great then to just keep the connections with your old friends,
Absolutely.
make new friends.
Yes. Yes. And, we can't underscore as well enough the importance of social media, because that has allowed us
Oh,
not
yes.
only to keep in touch with the people around us, but also to keep in touch with people who ordinarily we wouldn't see for many, many years because they live so far away.
That's so true, Doc, because
Yes.
I have a couple of friends on Facebook who
Right.
actually went to school, the high school with, so
Right.
you know how long ago that is, right? But we still, and they live all over the world, but we're still able to connect with each other and share, good news and bad news.
Right.
But, yeah. Very
Yes.
important. I agree
It
with
is,
you.
it is, it is.
Yes, that, but sometimes it's really hard to even get up out of bed in the morning. Your head hurt, your back hurt, your legs not doing what they used to do.
Right.
It's just hard.
And I can understand what you're saying, but you know what? There's some evidence out there to suggest that loneliness and social isolation and those feelings associated can actually worsen some of those physical symptoms that you have.
Okay.
So it is important for you to maintain those strong social interactions and social relationships in order to improve your general quality of life, contribute to your living longer and just a more meaningful life, and giving you the energy and the impetus to get out of bed and to continue to carry on and be a part of the world.
I, for one, lived a very, very full life in my youth.
Yes.
Held down 2 jobs at the same time, for instance. And now don't have a lot to do.
And you know what, Mr. Miller? Combating loneliness doesn't mean that your circle has to be very wide. It just means that you may have 1 or even 2 people who you can speak to, and they actually listen to what you're saying and respond, and they feel too that you are listening to them, and there is a connection of some sort between the 2 of you. So
even like just a good neighbor.
absolutely, right? A neighbor. Another important strategy is, especially among persons just like yourself who are retired and in just a different chapter of life, is that whole business of volunteerism, adding some value to your life, feeling as if you can contribute to something very important, not necessarily for financial gain, but for maintenance of those social ties and contributing to society, right? The Mona Aging and Wellness Center stands ready to advise persons or point you in the right direction if you should need any advice on loneliness, or if you should feel like you are alone. Another important part of combating loneliness is just sensitizing health workers as well, because older persons seek care. That's a well recognized thing. But to sensitize them as to some of the issues that older persons experience, and to look for those red flags and identify them early and try to be more inclusive in terms of the response.
Well, Doc, thank you for having this little chat with me. And I guess I've learned and hopefully will be able to cope